and I am just so pumped to talk about coronavirus, Facebook groups, what's working now, what you should be focusing on. And yeah, I'm happy we figured this out and we're here.
With technical challenges, like everyone's rushing to the online space now, and technical challenges keep popping up. But we gotta we gotta sort it. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we've had you on the podcast before, but today we're talking about something a little bit different. So why don't you just introduce yourself to us for people who don't know you?
Yeah, so my name is Christina Jandelli, and I'm the founder of deliveryourgenius.com. And over the last few years, I've used free Facebook groups in order to add six figures, multiple six-figure income streams to my business. And now I get to help others do the same. So that's kind of Cold's Nose quick down version of a little bit about what I do.
Very cool. So how are you holding up with quarantine and everything? Homeschooling.
I gotta say, I never signed up for homeschooling, and this is a little bit new. And yeah, my daughter was like, I was having a meltdown yesterday. I don't like this, and I'd rather go to school. I'm like, wow, well, maybe they're gonna be way more excited about school. But definitely, I mean, lots of adjustments, and I mean, really, to be honest, it's been a bit of an emotional roller coaster. Like there's some moments where it's like, great, I'm on fire, and I'm just really feeling called to really be serving and leading right now. And then there's moments of like, oh my gosh, like is this really the world that we're living in? And yeah, I mean, with two kids at home, and everyone's at home, and you can't go anywhere, life is a little bit different.
It's it's crazy. So TJ and I both had a meltdown last week or a few days ago. Time just when you have a newborn baby, like you don't know what day it is, what time it is, what's happening. But he was like, I want to go play with my friends, and I'm like, he was teary eyed, and then I started crying. I'm like, I want you to play with your friends too. I've just got hormones all over the place. We went out for like an outing yesterday to Panera to get takeout because we're like we just need to get out of the house. So that included going in the car. But yes. So talk to us about business during this time. Like do you see people buying right now? Like what are you seeing?
There's definitely, without a doubt, a big shift. All right. There's
Mhm.
definitely, without a doubt, like a big shift that's going on. And I think everyone's having the experience of feeling this. And yeah, it's like the question on, are people buying right now? And our experience has been that I have some friends and colleagues that have had like their most successful launches ever. I've seen other people shutting down and not wanting to make offers, or slashing prices on their offers, or changing what it is that they're doing. And so I think that there's both ends of the spectrum, and I think that the here's where lies the difference. I mean, first off, it really does depend on the industry you're in, because there's industries that boom through moments like this, and it's not about being opportunistic, but it's like, okay, what are sort of recession proof businesses? What are businesses that do really well in any kind of market? And I would say the three kind of main categories of that is: one, related to money, business, wealth, right? Anything to do with like wealth creation, wealth preservation, business, income, anything sort of money, business related,
Yep.
is like going to be, people are piling in now, and are ready to buy, because people are forced out of, maybe they have brick and mortar businesses where they have to transition. Maybe they're straddling does that make sense? Offline, online businesses, and now realizing like, okay, things need to move over. Or people that have been in jobs and losing their jobs, and realize like, geez, I need to start being responsible for my own income. Like, what can I do in transitioning? So people are hungry more than ever for that. Another niche that is definitely that sees a lot of growth through downturns and through uncertain times is relationships. Let's
Mhm.
face it, when you're cooped up, when you're locked in your house with your husband and your kids and the dog, everybody else, right? More than
I've seen some crazy stats that like in China divorce rates have like skyrocketed, but then I've seen like some scarier things of like child abuse and other things are
yeah,
like going up. And it's just
yeah.
like if you're in close quarters with people for a long period of time, like we are, like trouble can happen.
It's, it's so true. And so it's like when there's nowhere to escape, right? Like there's nowhere to escape. People are like forced to tune into like what isn't working well. People that are single right now, locked up in their homes, like feeling more lonely and isolated than ever.
Yeah.
So anything to do with relationship space, parenting, relationships, finding love, keeping love, right? Any of that, any of that space. And even when it comes to, working with teams or relationships, like anything to do with relationships, we start to see a big shift because in moments of uncertainty, um, emotions are just elevated, right? And what's been brewing underneath the surface comes to surface and it needs to get dealt with. And maybe before things were kind of just moving along, trucking along, and then suddenly it's like, boom, okay, there's something that there's something that we need to deal with right here, right now. And so talking about money and business, second one is relationships. And the third one is health. Cause I don't know about you, but I've been opening my fridge door far too many times lately.
Boredom eating. Yep.
and and it's like, I mean, it's crazy. I'm like, and it's normal to have these emotional roller coasters of like being on fire and like putting stuff out to the world, and then having a moment of like, okay, you know what, I feel like, having my bucket of ice cream and turning on Netflix and just chilling out and just, vegging out. And so people's health take a toll. And you can't go to the gym right now, so you're having to figure out new ways to be able to keep in shape. And depending on where you live in the world, a lot of parks, things are closed. You can't even necessarily be outside depending on where you are in the world. So things have really shifted, and people, again, they start to realize what they need to work on when these moments happen. So I would say within those three areas, they are absolutely booming right now, and there's going to be continue to be an influx. Now, I'm not saying that these are the only industries that are going to see growth, but they're definitely like the big three that that I see with that. So if you're in those spaces, then it's really important to know people are buying, people are looking, people are searching. So hats off to you. And even, one of my students just recently, she just had like a blowout sales, and she sells dog training. Well, guess what? People are home, and they also realize, hey, guess what? My dog's not behaving as
Yeah.
it should. I better get on this,
I would
right?
add parenting to that too. Like if you're home with your kids and then you realize like, oh.
Yeah. Well, totally. And I'd put that in the relationships, right?
Yeah.
In the in the relationship stage is like, it's 100% parenting. And I mean, parenting when you're the teacher, you're the mother, you're the friend, you're the everything. Yes, absolutely.
Amazing. Okay, so do you think it's okay to be selling right now, or do you think it's like a weird time and you shouldn't sell at all and you should only be giving free content, or what do you see?
This is such a great topic because here's the thing. How far do people get when they just consume free content? And Rachel, I don't know about you, but early on in my business, I was like signing up for all the free gifts, and I would go to webinars, and I'd be taking copious notes. I was like the good student, right? I was taking down all the notes. But until I actually made an investment and chose a path, right? Because making an investment is like, it's making a decision for what it is that you want to create. And it wasn't until making that decision that I really started to build momentum and to really get into action. Because before that, it was about consuming and it was about learning.
Hmm.
And there comes a point when you need to shift from consuming to creating, right?
Yes.
Consuming to creating. And so no matter which area you are, and if you're in the transformational space, you're helping someone get an outcome. So, even with a, free training like this, it's like, great. You can take like some great value pack pieces and you can go and take a run with it, right? What happens sometimes though, is then as you start going on with other parts of your business, you realize, oh, well, how does it fit with what I've got over here? Or how's it going to work with what I've got over there? And you start to have these questions. So the best service that you can provide, the best transformation you can provide for your clients is to serve them by doing the deeper work, by getting by being able to really give them a start to end, beginning to end solution. And that comes from a paid product. That's just, you cannot provide that level of support and that level of service by just providing free content. So 100% extend the free line and give generously and build that goodwill with your audience right now. For those that are ready to step in, be making invitations. People want to be led right now. And
Yep.
if you're not leading and making those offers to people, you're leaving them an alert. And, I remember having an experience that I had this great conversation with someone a number of years ago. And I was so called to want to do, I was like, wow, I really want to work with this person. And they never made me an offer, and I never asked. Because I was like, well, maybe, maybe they don't think I'm the right fit. And or maybe they think, I was in my head and sorry about it. And even to this day, I remember having the conversation with that person, and I would have been all in. I would have pulled up my credit card. I would have paid that person, and it would have been a sale. And
Yep.
because they never asked, I went and hired someone else and went somewhere else. So if you're not making offers, you're missing the opportunity to really serve. And guess what? If you don't make the offer, someone else is going to. So if you firmly believe that your offer, your product is the thing that's going to really help support someone, why let them go somewhere else?
Yeah. And I mean, people will invest if they see the transformation that's possible. So I invested in a program back when we were struggling financially. And it wasn't like I had all this money set aside for this. It was, all right, this is what I need to get to where I want to be. How can I make this happen? And so even if people are losing their jobs or struggling, or, there's this level of uncertainty, I think if you have the right offer and you can really show that transformation, that the right people are gonna make it happen. They're not gonna come up with excuses, and they'll say, "All right, how can I make this happen?"
Yes, and based on what's going on right now, you guys, it's like we're talking about, like the problems are bubbling up, they're surfacing up. What has been easy to ignore before has now become urgent, right?
Yeah.
And what happens with urgency? Movement, right? And people are making decisions right now. So yes, be of service and make sure that you're highlighting, speaking into being relevant, but make that offer. Serve your people.
Right? Okay, so we talked about industries that are doing well right now. What are some other trends that you see happening?
So, trends that I really see happening right now more than ever, you guys, connection and collaboration.
Mhm.
And I've been preaching this to the choir for probably the last year, saying that we're really shifting into that place. But I gotta say, now more than ever, it's like music to my ears that I see this happening everywhere, that people are really shifting to connection and collaboration. So bring your audience together, right? A great place to do that is with your group, right? Cultivating the community, bringing people together. So bringing people together in a group. What happens is that you get to give people relief from what? What are we going to give people relief from? Boredom, right? We're going to give people relief from fear. We're going to give people relief from isolation.
Yeah.
We're planting seeds of goodwill, right? And when you're bringing people together, you're creating that connection, you're adding value, you're doing collaborations, you're being helpful, you're being human, right?
Mm.
This is something that's so often overlooked. Like we get very serious sometimes about our business. Like we want to focus in on our business. But like now more than ever, I've been saying to my students as well, like you need to be human. You
Yeah.
need to be real. You need to, like, now more than ever, it's like, guess what? I'm figuring this out too. I don't have it all figured out, right? And sharing like what's behind the scenes. It's funny. I just did a workout with a friend of mine, Tracy Campoli, on my business page the other day. I mean, I teach business, totally unrelated. And then I didn't realize I need to have weights. So she says, we're going to start with weights. I got to do 3 pounds. And I'm like, oh dear, I don't have any weights. So I went and grabbed wine bottles. And then the kids thought,
Yes, I love it. I would totally do the same.
and then the kids thought it was so fun. So then they're off to the wine rack. They're grabbing wine bottles, and then they're doing they're doing the exercise along with me. It's live video. They're coming on, and the amount of feedback that we got from that is just because it's just human. It's just real. It was so not perfect. It was so messy, but it was funny and it was entertaining. So be human, right? Be human with your people. Be generous in extending that free line, and be creating. And I don't normally recommend this, but in creating connection and collaborations, create some what I call like mindless content, where it's just like, this or that. Are you A or are you B? What does, what are some of the behind the scenes? What is it like that you're doing with your kids? What are the things that are kind of messy that you wouldn't normally necessarily share with people, and invite them to do the same? So what's working really well right now: connection and collaborations is collaborations with your just like Rachel and I are here right now, right? Collaborations, connecting together with other people who are serving your audience and serving together. You guys are so much stronger serving together. You can't be the master of all things, you can't be the expert in everything. So collaborate with other people, and it's not it's like move. It's not about competition, it's about collaboration. It's like elevating together. The next thing that's working really well right now, I think, as well, is being unique, but also being relevant, right? You've got to be relevant, just like, the topic of today as well. Like, okay, what are we going to focus on? What should be focused on right now? It needs to be relevant because what we were talking about 2 months ago isn't necessarily going to be the same as today.
No.
And what also is working right now, you guys, leading, telling people what to do and giving them direction, making the offer, right? It's like giving them direction, making the offer. So, how do you do this? Like connection, the collaboration, how do you become, where you do, what's the best place to be able to be relevant and having these conversations and making offers? And the best place on the market for this right now is through a Facebook group because it creates safety, it creates intimacy, it creates connection, it creates the space where people want to come hang out. It creates community. People under isolation, what do they crave? They crave connection. They're craving community. So that is something that we're seeing that's working really well right now. And engagement is through the roof, right? Engagement is through the roof. So people, there's eyeballs out there watching stuff. Why not it be your content? Why not it be what you're sharing to the world?
I love it. Okay, so you've got some awesome stuff coming up on Facebook groups and all of that, and I've got a link for your Facebook group checklist. Can you tell us what that's about?
Yes. So one of the things when you're starting a group, I mean, there's a few things that come up, right? When it's like, okay, do I start a group? Is it right for me? And the biggest thing is like, well, how do I actually get people into my group? How do I actually get my members?
Yeah.
Where do I find people? And whether you're just getting started and you have an itty bitty list or no list at all, or you've been at this for a while and you're like, okay, I really want to see, I really want to see more growth in my group. Well, it really starts getting clear on who your group's for, what it's about. So I've got two checklists for you guys. One is really getting clear who your group's for, helping you gain clarity on what that is. Like what do you want the place, what do you want it to look like, feel like? How do you want people to show up? How do you want people to be how do you want people to be feeling when they're inside of the group? So that's the first one. And the second one is every single thing that I did in the beginning to generate my first 2,500 members in 3 months time. So checklist of like literally action steps that you can take right away to get started, because there's no better time than now. So those are the two things that you guys get with the checklist.
For sure. So you can go to rachelandgom.com/Facebook checklist. I'll put that if you're watching this on Facebook. I'll make sure to put that in the description. Dude, you're amazing. Is there anything else that you want to share with us? Any last words?
I would just say, you guys, now more than ever is the time to lead, right? Now more than ever is the time to be present, to be visible, and it's the time to lead. And what's the best place to develop your leadership? Either you're like fully into it, it's like, okay, I'm so confident in my message and I'm getting out there in a big way and you're already visible. Or you're like, well, I don't know if I've got that fully dialed in yet. Well, what a great opportunity too inside of your group to develop your leadership, to develop your voice in a container of people that have raised their hand and interest for what it is that you're doing, that you get to cultivate that relationship with people. So I want to encourage you to lead, be the leader, be generous, and be making offers, be willing to be taking a stand for the people that you serve. So that's it. Thanks for having me, Rachel. And I
Yeah.
so always love coming on.
Yes. Thank you so much for being on.
All right, you guys.
See you later.
Bye.